kids. We all called to order. Swearing in of new council for 2019 and 2022 term. May I have a second? Can I have a seconder?
I'll second.
No,
Any discussions? Don't want the mayor as a discussion? No, it's just a swearing in.
we just gotta do it, yeah.
Yes, you do, and then you'll sign it.
I, Lorraine Kenny, do solemnly affirm that I qualify to hold the office of mayor for the village of Pooskookie, to which I have been elected. I have not, by myself or any other person, knowingly contravented the Local Government Act respecting vote by buying or intimidating in relations to my election to the office. I will faithfully perform the duties of my office, and I will not allow any private interest to influence my conduct in public matters. As required by the community charter, I will disclose any direct or indirect pecuniary interest I have in the matter, and will not participate in discussions of the matter, and will not vote in respect of that matter. Sworn by the above name,
And you just need to sign over the,
or is it Mayor McKetty?
yeah,
How come I was first and my last name didn't?
because you're the mayor.
You get to be better.
I was hoping nobody else would before me. You're no fun.
Mr. Drover, Councilor Drover, please.
Counselor Drover?
I, Ken Bowler, do solemnly affirm that I am qualified to hold the office of councillor for the village of Pooskookie, to which I have been elected. I have not, by myself or any other person, knowingly contravened the Local Government Act respecting vote buying or intimidation in relation to my election to the office. I will faithfully perform the duties of my office and will not allow any private interest to influence my conduct in public matters. As required by the community charter, I will disclose any direct or indirect pecuniary interest I have in a matter, and will not participate in this discussion of the matter, and will not vote in respect of the matter. Sworn by the above named councillor.
Thank you.
Councilor Beebe.
Ms. Barney. You're not standing up?
I'll
I
stand.
would have been more comfortable sitting, but.
I, Marlene Hebert, do solemnly affirm that I am qualified to hold the office of councillor for the village of Pooskookie, to which I have been elected. I have not, by myself or any other person, knowingly contravened the Local Government Act respecting vote buying or intimidation in relation to my election to the office. I will faithfully perform the duties of my office and will not allow any private interest to influence my conduct in public matters. As required by the community charter, I will disclose any direct or indirect pecuniary interest I have in the matter, and will not participate in the discussion of the matter, and will not vote in respect of the matter. Sworn by the above named councillor.
Thank you, Marlene.
Welcome.
Ms. Barbara Smith. Okay.
Councilor Smith.
Counselor Smith.
I, Barb Smith, do solemnly affirm that I'm qualified to hold the office of councillor for the village of Pooskookie, to which I have been elected. I have not, by myself or any other person, knowingly contravened the Local Government Act respecting vote buying or intimidation in relation to my election to the office. I will faithfully perform the duties of my office and will not allow any private interest to influence my conduct in public matters. As required by the community charter, I will disclose any direct or indirect pecuniary interest I have in the matter, and will not participate in the discussion of the matter, and will not vote in respect to the matter. Sworn by the above, Councillor Smith.
Can we have a vote on changing that word?
Yeah, I just said,
It's
you can do it.
Councilor White.
Now the pressure.
Counselor, what?
I, Donald White, do solemnly affirm that I am qualified to hold the office of councillor for the village of Pooskookie, to which I have been elected. I have not, by myself or any other person, knowingly contravene the Local Government Act, respecting vote, buying or intimidation in relationship to my election to the office. I will faithfully perform the duties of my office and will not allow any private interests to influence my conduct in public matters. As required by the community charter, I will disclose any direct or indirect pecuniary interest I have in the matter, and will not participate in the discussion of the matter, and will not vote in respect of the matter. Sworn by the above Lady Council.
Yay! Congratulations, everyone!
I'm gonna read mine again, but stand up this time.
Do you? We have, no column on here for, oh yeah, we're introducing my items. I was just yapping off instead of lectures looking in. Okay, adoption of agenda. Would council adopt the agenda as presented? Can I have a seconder? Any discussion? All in favor? Don't be, okay. Adoption of minutes. Would council adopt the minutes from the regular council meeting held on October 17th, 2018? Can I have a seconder?
Can we even second right there?
You can, if you read it.
Yeah.
Anybody? Any takers?
Can I read it?
Okay. Any discussion? All in favor? 3.2 recommendation. Would council adopt the minutes from the special council meeting held on October 19th, 2018? Have a seconder?
I second it.
Any discussion? All in favor? Introduction of late items. So we have one here for the skate park, which is 8:10. And we have one for the invitation appreciation dinner with Encana, which is 8:11. And where do you want me to put those first?
Just right in those two spots, your worship, to get to when we
Right
get
after.
to the end of new business. there.
8:1. Okay. Unfinished business arising from minutes. Can I get a seconder?
Second.
Any discussion? Did we bypass the delegation from the Coosabeam region to council?
You can.
Oh, any discussion? All in favor? New business, 8.1 recommendation. Somebody's gonna read it up.
Oh, the council appoints Mary McKenney as the PRRD director, and that council appoints Councillor Smith as the alternate director for the PRRD.
Can I get a seconder?
I'll second.
Any discussion? Barb? No. All in favor? 8.2 recommendation.
The council write up a biography and submit to either Chris or Sandy by December the 5th, 2018.
Can I get a seconder? All in favor? Maybe we should have a discussion on that.
What are we supposed to put in the biography?
I'm gonna whine. I didn't do a biography last time.
That's why you gotta do one this time.
Chris?
Thank you, worship. What we discussed at the staff meeting today was as of tomorrow morning, we'll be removing the old councilors from the website. And then we'll put everybody's new name, you know, yourself, Councillor Smith can stay as is, but we'll be putting your folks' new name on there with an appointed to office date. And then once we get this, we'll update it with pictures. Alistair's coming on the 21st to do everybody's pictures. Hopefully by then.
November 21st?
Yeah, November 21st for the meeting here.
As well as the group picture.
Yeah.
But we
Everyone
don't have
updated?
a biography.
Same old, same old.
It feels relevant. It's pretty open-ended. Best thing I could probably suggest to you is just go take a look at some of the other biographies, either for
Okay.
us or other counselors, and get a feel for them. It's entirely at your discretion what you like to put in.
Can I borrow Alistair? Sally?
I've suggested that if they wanted to, they could just submit it in point form. We give it to Alistair and he'll make it all pretty and then send it back to you for approval. And then.
I just want below mine, works hard. All I want below mine.
Well, if you leave that up to us, we might fill it in with something else.
Make up some, you know, hobbies I'm gonna have.
Annoying staff, annoying CAO.
I don't annoy stuff. Okay. So we're all in favor of that? Okay. 8.3 recommendation.
The council approved the budget for the annual house light-up contest and choose a date for the judging.
Can I have a second? Okay. And discussion on the date, Sandy, what would you recommend when it's not cold, so July?
You ride around in your warm truck, what are you worried about?
Write it down.
Depends, are you all going to go out? Oh, sorry, can I speak?
Yes.
Are you all going to go out,
No.
or just a couple of you?
Just a couple of counselors will go.
Okay, so who's gonna go, and what date would you like to go?
When would you guys want to go?
When's the best time for everybody to have their houses lit up?
The past couple of years, we've usually done it, the second week in December.
Okay, good.
We did it last year, just before the council meeting on the first Wednesday of the month in
Well,
December.
then you would have to do it on the 4th of December,
Well, we did it,
3rd or 4th.
council meeting was the
The 5th.
So Ray and I went at 6
Right,
o'clock.
okay. Did you want to do that again? Do it on the 5th?
It's just an idea. I don't want to do it this year.
I did it last year.
Well, that's up to you three then.
So let's three go around.
Has to be impartial.
Okay.
Don't do anything I wouldn't do, girls.
So you'd like to do it on
That
the
doesn't count
5th,
much, does it?
before the council
No fun
meeting?
there.
December 5th before the council meeting?
Yeah.
And the three of you can decide, I don't, they usually did it, I think you went out at what, 5:30 or 6? Quarter to 6?
There was only like 3 houses.
Yeah. So between the three of you can decide.
Some of them didn't have.
And then you just,
For a second.
you just bring me back the address
If they have an
of
address.
first, second, and third. If they don't have an address, they don't
They don't
qualify.
Mhm.
That's right. They have to have a physical number address on their house to qualify. That's the only qualification.
Okay, are you done?
Yes, ma'am.
Thank you. 8.4 recommendation?
The council award the cleaning of the fire hall to the Puscombe Volunteer Firefighters Association for $60 per week contribution to the PSFFA.
Chris, can you elaborate on what PC means?
Yeah, the Puscoopi Volunteer Firefighters Association. And so the fire chief has approached us and let us know that some of the volunteer firefighter members would like to do the cleaning in the fire hall on their Monday night, sort of training night. And in return, the village, instead of paying mop heads to do the cleaning, would do contributions to the Volunteer Firefighters Association, so.
Okay, so when do they fit their training in? That doesn't affect their training in any way?
No, they've discussed it internally, the two members that are likely gonna do that will come in early and then get the cleaning done before the training night. They'll make it work.
Any questions? How do I know if it works? Don't tell us.
They'll let us know.
What is the current arrangement between that?
But it's once a week, we've got a company called Mop Heads that comes in and does it for this same amount. And their contract is up in December for renewal, so.
And the firefighter's not happy until they clean it.
Yeah.
It's clean to their specifications.
Is that a company out of Puscoopi?
No, Dawson.
Dawson's.
Yeah.
All in favor? 8.5 recommendation?
That council adopt the 2019 schedule of council meetings as presented.
I'll second.
Any discussion? Christopher?
Thank you, Worship. Just the one item for consideration is the January 3rd meeting, whether or not council wants to cancel that one now.
So you guys won't even be here.
Well, January 2nd's a little much.
Is it January 2nd, so it's
Yeah.
the 2nd? Let me just get my calendar here.
January 2nd is the Wednesday that
It
we
is
return to
June.
work.
Yeah.
Yes.
Is that you, Chris?
No.
No.
Yeah. So that meeting is literally scheduled for the day after New Year's where everybody comes back. There's a little bit off for pretty much.
Because you got to do the agenda, you got to prepare everything, right?
Yeah.
That's it.
So what recommendations do you guys have for the January meeting?
canceled it.
Yeah.
We just canceled it?
Yeah. It's up to you guys though, if we can schedule another one somewhere in January. So the schedule is of course first and third Wednesday, so we've got the 2nd and the 16th scheduled.
So we have 2 in December
Yeah.
and 1 in January.
I would suggest that if anything important comes up, that maybe we should.
We can have a special meeting then. Excellent. We'll do that. All in favor? Okay. Back to where I was. Recommendation 8.6.
The council received the social media policy as information.
Can I get a second? Any discussion? Chris?
Sorry, Your Worship, can I bring council back to the last item too? That report had 2 pieces to it. There was the schedule of meetings, and then also attached was the council portfolios.
Oh, yes.
Oh, yeah, we're
yes. Okay.
I'll make sure they're all right.
Down there, Chris.
I know.
2019 council portfolios. So Mayor McKetty will be doing Fire Department, South Peace Health Council, RCMP, Peace River Regional District, and Oil and Gas, and Site C. Councillor Hebert will be doing Museum and Seniors. Councillor White will be doing Library, Chamber of Commerce, Parks and Rec, and NDIT alternate. Councillor Ken Drover will be doing Kuskupi Food Bank, School, Oil and Gas, and South Peace Health. Councillor Smith will be Regional District alternate, NDIT, Northern Heritage Trails Society alternate, because Sandy will be the main person.
Thank you, that's
I'm gonna leave you like that though, okay?
Yes.
I don't hold it.
Yeah. Tourism, Cemetery, Alaska Highway Community Society, and I need someone for an alternate for tourism. Who wants to take that?
I'll do it.
You'll do the alternate?
Since I have a chamber of commerce. You have to tell me where their meetings are.
Yeah.
No, they have one on Tuesday morning. Yeah, from 9:30.
I just go to the Olympics.
And they said they wanted me to come to the directors meeting.
We'll just go with Kathleen.
Should I go there?
Yeah. So 2019 schedule of acting mayors will be January to March is Councillor Drover. April to June is Councillor Hebert. Didn't get to go on holidays, by the way. July and September is Councillor Smith. October, December, Councillor White. Merry Christmas, Bill.
Yeah, I know, I get the Christmas meeting.
Is everybody okay with that?
Yep.
Okay. Good. Let's see, social media? No, we're doing social media. So 8.6 recommendation, can you have that one read?
The council received the social media policy as information.
And the seconder can second again.
I read it to start with.
Any discussion on this one? No. All in favor? 8.7 recommendation.
The council members read Council Code of Conduct Policy 8.1 and return the signed attestation sheet to the CAO or CO by November the 21st, 2018.
Can I get a seconder?
I'll second.
Any discussion on this? All in favor? 8.8 recommendation.
And council accepts the Q3 financial report as information.
Any discussion?
Looks good.
No, I need a seconder on that, sorry.
Yeah, you do.
I'll second.
Okay, any discussion? You guys gotta have some discussion on this budget. It's so good.
Yeah.
Christopher laid out all of it and
Looks good. You did a very good job.
Thank you.
There's no questions? Like, how about environment health services? Chris,
Yep, thank you, Worship. Sorry, your question was?
environment health services.
Yeah, okay, so we ended up having a few repairs to the garbage truck that have put that category over. It was brought to our attention pretty early on in Blair's tenure. He noticed numerous things with the garbage truck that weren't maintained, kept the way they should be, including the tires that were cracking and on there. So he promptly repaired that stuff. So that wasn't really planned in the budget. If I remember correctly, the garbage truck repairs and maintenance was only budgeted for about $3,000 for the year.
Anybody else see anything? Chris?
Thank you. Just to maybe comment for council's information, what I try to do here is present that those quarterly financial reports in the same Schedule A format that council sees and approves in the budget. So we've got a way to sort of cross-reference it with what went from council at the beginning of the year. And then the capital and special projects is something new this year, and that's to give council an update on where we are with each of those capital and special projects too.
No more questions? Oh, you guys are an easy bunch. All in favor?
We read.
Yes, that's kind of important to read your agenda. Where am I?
8.9.
8.9 recommendation.
The council approved the West Spruce concept development plan as presented.
Can I get a second? Any discussion on this one?
There's a lot of information.
It is.
It is.
And the map.
So it's the hillside below the water tower?
Yeah, yeah. But I was going blind, couldn't they make the font a little bigger?
In the actual document, in the PDF, we can get it in the longer maps, but those wouldn't work.
I was going cross-eyed by the time I
Yeah.
finished reading it.
And that's actually just the summary report too, folks. There is another report that's the
I can
full one,
imagine,
but
I can imagine.
So nobody has any questions on it?
No. The only thing that did they do anything about, because I know that before when we wanted to try and develop it, remember at the top, that was where all the trailers were, they were gonna have trouble with water.
No pressure.
Yeah, but they're having any more pressure for the water. Is it gonna be okay going that way?
Well, yeah.
Yeah, but it was still going to be going down if we had to go at the top of the hill.
We were keeping part of it out for the water, like that one section beside the water tower, in case we're leaving that section out, in case we need another water tank, right?
Or something to pump it to the tape.
And then we were talking about a lift station, were we not, Chris, for the water?
yeah, thank you, Worship. There is a separate report from Urban Systems talking about the concept of a lift station that could service that area.
And the
It's
sewer,
not, yeah.
the sewer
Okay,
booths are
that was my only
capacity of
question.
500 still can go?
That was my only question.
So,
Other than could we have the font bigger?
the what?
The font bigger.
That costs money, Donna.
I don't care. Should I go blind?
All in favor? So 8.10 is your guys' little late item here. I need somebody to read it out for me.
Ask council to approve a grant application for the new skate park.
I'll second. Any discussion? All in favor? Late items 8.11.
We are invited to the Bruce Cookie Appreciation Dinner on a tour of the Southeast Liquids Hub.
Liquor hub. We want a liquor hub.
Liquids, I said.
Any discussion on this? These two items?
Does anybody want to attend it?
I will. I'm already going.
To this one?
I
You
think
are?
Fiona emailed me today.
Okay, I think I answered it and sent it to you. I think, don't quote me on that. Not Thursday. All in favor? Oh, Chris.
No, it's okay. Just for while we're on this subject, Your Worship, there's a lot of Encana stuff happening this month, so just to refresh council's memory, we've got the meeting with them tomorrow night at 8 o'clock, or at 6:30. There's also something scheduled for November 13th, and now this one on the 27th as well, so.
13th is an information.
Yeah, they're really doing the community outreach thing.
Well, because there's lots of residents upset over it, and, you know, gotta hear them. All in favor?
Anybody see any correspondence that they want read out? I just want to point out that on 9.4 recommendation, that council received a letter from Honorable Selena Robinson as information. It verifies the fact that the taxpayers paid me to go down there, and I actually had a meeting with her. So there's a picture of me and Barb and Andre.
I know.
Sorry,
We're all
it's kind of a
stressed
story.
right out.
But still, that's proof. I never went shopping.
I know, I was looking at this and somebody went, who is that?
We have told people in our
The council received the Legion recognition certificate letter as information. Does anybody want to discuss that one? Because since Remembrance Day is coming up. So. Huh? Oh, Sam.
That certificate is a thank you and recognition for the ad that we put in their magazine.
Maybe there. I just wanted to know that that's good.
Okay. So no, so anybody else see anything else? 9.9, MCLGA. Have we booked anything on the website yet? Chris?
Yeah, thank you, Your Worship. We booked 5 rooms.
Chris is going this year?
Yeah, I'm planning on, Your Worship, if council wants me to
Yes,
attend.
because there's lots of CAO stuff to,
Yeah, there's lots of stuff that goes in there.
And resolutions, yeah. And if we have to, we can share them all the time. Except with you.
They all have 2 beds.
I'm not going.
Okay. So we did that one. Anybody see anything else? Alright. Resolutions, none. Bylaws, none. Administration reports. CAO report. Mr. Christopher.
Yeah. Thank you, Your Worship. Gonna dip council's toes into the beauty that is the CAO report tonight. Just to let you guys know, some of this stuff now is gonna start coming on a regular basis to your emails. Those typically come in either Sunday nights or Monday mornings, depending on when I got time to finish them. But I do tend to go over some of the other, more prominent items in the council meeting too, so. Kicking things off, had quite a few Caribou Conservation Initiative conference calls over the last few weeks here. And the village has issued several letters against this, but in a nutshell, to let the new folks know, there's currently 8 petitions to the federal government to shut down approximately 1 million hectares of land in BC to any and all resource development and motorized recreation in the BC backcountry. That includes land in and around the Peace region. The province is also in the process of handing over huge tracts of that land to Indigenous groups as something they're calling Indigenous protected areas, which are not part of established reserve territories, but that are sort of there for those First Nations groups to manage. All of this is happening in closed door meetings without any municipal or general public consultation right now, so it's a pretty scary thing. When you're talking about shutting down all this resource development.
Not just that, though. Our water hole is at Bear Lake, right? Dawson Creek water system is at Bear Lake.
Inside
Inside
this
their
area.
zone.
Yeah.
So that means that we will not be able to have it tested. Nobody can walk in because of these caribou.
So there has to be addendums to it then?
There may be. The last call was pretty scary. They were initially going after snowmobilers, for example, too, in some of these areas. They're expanding that to ATVs and even mountain bikers now.
Yeah.
So according to these environmental
And
groups lobbying the federal government, mountain bikers place caribou at risk, so it's,
But
the,
what I don't understand is that the natives can still hunt them, even though they're sacred. We aren't allowed to hunt them, but they can still hunt.
actually, they still are issuing limited tag caribou licenses in parts of the province, similar to the other hunting licenses too that came up on a previous conference call. So the inconsistencies in what they're doing here are enormous.
If they've got to be protected, why are they allowing them to be hunted? I don't understand.
One of the more concerned groups right now is the Council of Forest Industries in BC, who were saying that if this comes to pass, West Fraser is estimating the loss of 400,000 cubic meters a year of annual allowable cut. They said on a conference call there's likely one, if not two mills, either in Mackenzie, Prince George, and Chetwynd, that are going to shut down as a
They were
result of
talking
this.
compensation on those calls
Yeah,
too.
they're already talking compensation packages for the
No.
mill, but not the employees, of course. So you know.
Or the subcontractors.
Yeah. So in essence, if anything, if this goes through, the BC backcountry in that affected area will be essentially a no-go zone for anything but foot traffic. So the village has issued several letters opposing this action already, and there's letters that are still going out right now. The consensus on the call was that there's likely to be a decision on it at the end of November. Christmas dinner has been moved to December 6th at 5 p.m. to accommodate some training that Blair and I are going to go on December 12th and 13th. The training is for emergency operations management, so pretty important. Blair and I felt that was important enough to move the Christmas dinner, so it is extended to everyone plus one guest. Entrance to Poos Park has been plowed. We'll keep the park open for the winter here unless we're directed otherwise from council. I did speak to one of the affiliated members with the Dawson Bearmountain Cross Country Ski Association
I was
today.
thinking about that too.
Yeah, they're gonna look into whether or not they're willing to do the cross-country ski trails for us around Poos Park, and we know the disc golf guys are in there. right now,
So did you figure out, talk to Blair about the barricades where the quadders and the are going through?
Yeah, that was the next item here. We're gonna put some of the same concrete blocks that we put over by 50th there on some of the known ATV and snowmobile entrances. The consensus at the staff meeting was the blocks are gonna go up, they're gonna move the trailhead a couple of feet next to it, but at least it'll let those folks know we're serious about keeping.
Yeah, they can ride
so-
in the trees with their branding, honking,
Yeah.
snowmobiles.
Yeah, so, Santa Claus Parade, and your worship, you and I talked about this just before the meeting. As of right now, we've got one confirmed entry with a few others on the potential list, including the museum. I was gonna try and put a float together for us. Question to council, are you folks interested in riding on the museum float if it comes to pass, or?
I think we should just drop the parade and have a big old fashioned Christmas party, because the parade is a lost cause. We haven't had any people come. We had, what, 3 last year? If,
Four,
4, 5?
yeah.
The year before we
The
had
three of them with the fire trucks.
Yeah, so,
It's a tough thing to get people out in the winter.
well, who wants to
do-
decorate
do a
the trucks in the
parade.
winter? It's cold out.
Do we have any music or that's gonna be
Yeah,
playing?
yeah, we've got the PA system,
We had
wherever
music
that
last
ended
year.
up, yeah, that ends up outside, so. It's at council's discretion at this point. It's not looking like the parade is gonna be anything really to speak of, but we're gonna let it run another week, and it's easy enough to cancel the parade piece of it at the last minute, still host the.
Can we just put a
community.
motion on the floor, that we can wait till next Friday if we don't get any, people interested in it? Then, we change it to a big old Christmas party.
Yeah,
No,
absolutely.
we do not supply the alcohol. You bring your own.
No.
Just kidding. Just kidding. Can I have a second to that motion?
I'll second.
All in favor? Okay.
Okay. Remembrance Day wreaths have been ordered. They'll be available at the Legion for the ceremony on Sunday. Just to let council know, Monday is the observed stat, so the office will be closed. Cleanup work, this is something I'm happy to report on. Cleanup work has started on the Hillcrest Motel property after we issued 7 bylaw notices. The owner took those notices very seriously and has started work on the property. Lots of the vehicles have been cleaned up, some of the junk, and I understand he's had contractors in there getting quotes for the windows and the siding and some of the other issues with the buildings. He's committed to providing me those quotes in writing, so hopefully that work will continue. Just to let council know, I read an article in the Agricultural Land Commission about them going back to a 1-tier system for ag land in BC, and it was to keep speculation in check for farmland. Not too sure I agree with it personally, but it has been done and may affect us moving forward with some of the land to the north and the west, because that land in our village boundaries is still in the ALR. So impact will remain to be seen over future years, but just to let council know that that's coming down the pipeline. We've sent in a grant application for Canada Day for 2019. We anticipate being successful again for that this year. Working on a skate park grant for NDIT, and thanks to council for that last motion. That was a piece of the puzzle there to get that in. Latest edition of the newsletter has gone out. Our recreation survey mail drop that we did a few weeks ago was a bust, unfortunately. Yeah, we did a mail drop to every mailbox in town. We only got 5 replies back.
Oh, we got 5.
We got 5. Well, the cannabis one was by far the best one that I've seen.
Did you not hear us?
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, so the plan is with that, because we're still trying to give the new rec coordinator ideas and what the community would like to see. So we're hoping to do another one through the elementary school to try and get that directly in the hands of kids, to maybe give to parents. The school has said they're okay with it, so we'll be doing that here shortly. I'm waiting on a quote for some security cameras for the downtown core. The company called me on Monday. Said the quote should be in this week, and that's in response to the post office break-in that happened a couple of weeks ago. We've ordered a dash cam for the garbage truck due to some resident complaints that their garbage or recycling hasn't been picked up. The goal with that dash cam is to refer to the video to see if it was actually put out on time or not. It's the number one thing we get complaint with garbage. You didn't pick mine up, and
Because they didn't put it in.
right, yeah, that's it. We'll ask the operator, and the operator will say, no, there was no bin. We'll call the resident, no, it was out, absolutely.
Continuing.
Yeah, we've got an ongoing issue with that, so hopefully the dash cam will clear that up.
And how much is a dash cam?
About $80.
Okay, I could swing.
Good news on the food bank front, they're all moved into the new location and ready to go. Reminder about the Encana thing, we touched on that a minute ago. And then, yeah, just talking about the CAO report here that is going to start coming to you guys weekly by email as well. And that's it for me.
Thank you, Chris. Capital special projects.
Carolyn, I would like to invite you to work with me and Chris. We're trying to get some of the graves of the cemetery marked, and maybe you can give us some direction or some help to find out where we can find, like Susie, Cecile Papayu. Her grave is not marked. That's one that I know for sure is not marked.
Chris has a map, he just received it, and it has some names on it, and some, like, lots of them have names and headstones, but some have people in there, but unmarked.
Yeah, there's no stone or anything. But I'd like to pick Carolyn's brain because she knows a lot of the history, and if you could work with us, it'd be appreciated. Can you do that? Okay, thank you.
So you got that there, Chris?
Yeah, thank you, Your Worship.
Is there anything you guys see? So Urban Systems has been advised to start a study out for the sidewalks? And where are these sidewalks going to be?
That's the sidewalk opposite to Redwoods, so same side of the street as Cookies, from Cookies to the elementary school, or to the crosswalk we put in last year.
Or-
Daycare. Are we going to this year reach out and see what the residents think of a daycare in Coos? Because there's lots of money out there for daycare, to build a daycare in Coos. Like, the government is going to put the daycare under the Minister of Education that's coming. She told us that herself. And they're gonna up early childhood education people up to $25, $26 an hour, so that they can be paid adequately. And the new Montgomery School up in Port St. John incorporated daycare, and there's another school in Port St. John that incorporated daycare.
Where will we put it?
Well, this is what we want
This is
to,
what we're going to discuss because our school needs to be built on.
No.
Now, we need to build onto our library, we need to build onto some classrooms. Now, should we put the daycare in there?
yeah, but we want to look at that.
Right.
But there's $100 million out there that, under grants, that we can get this if the residents of Coos are interested in daycare.
Thank you, Worship. I was gonna say, it's on the next action item tracking sheet, and it's one of our community input items. We plan on doing it after the rec one there. Yeah, that last item. So the thought there is to issue probably a mail drop to the community as well, standard 2-week community consultation, and see what interest there is in the community in a daycare. There's been a lot of discussion around the council table around the concept of one, but at this point, we really don't know if there's actually a need in the community. Is there one family, two families, 10, 15, 20? So we need to build that business case. The grant applications that Councillor Smith's referring to are undoubtedly gonna ask for that information. You know, what do you guys see as a future need? So we need to get something on paper, some information that we can back up from the residents saying, yes, if there was a daycare in Coos, I'd send my kids there, 2 kids, 3 kids, 1 kid, whatever that may be for these hours. Once we gather that information, I'll bring that back to council and we can decide where to go from there.
Can I make a suggestion?
Yeah.
That maybe we send the majority of them home with the kids from school? 'Cause those would be all the
Questionnaire.
ones, those would be all the ones mostly that are gonna have little kids. Who are
Yes,
gonna need
yes.
daycare. And they'll read them because they come from school.
I have a question. Can we somehow wangle an invite to a School District 59 meeting to ask what their plans are for the school? It's been since,
August, July.
you know what I mean, or do they have any plans? Have they contacted engineers? Have they?
Let's let Chad just get his feet wet first, and then after January, we can get him hard at it.
I think you're right.
Oh, I was just gonna ask, would the daycare be free or would the parents pay?
I think they're looking at $10 a day, but this is what we have to work out, what the
That's
grant
pretty
is,
good.
You have to be a certain amount.
income, but we would work all that out.
Right, gee, that sounds good.
Well, if they got kids at home, like little kids at home, and the mom has to go to work or whatever, and
Right.
there's always postings on Facebook looking for
I know.
babysitter, right?
Yeah.
Yeah. Any other discussion on this stuff, you guys? Chris, you can take the completes off here. Are you still bragging about?
Which one? Capital and special project? No, we didn't like that till the end of the year.
Ice surfacing, library. All was completed.
Where?
All was completed on this capital special project.
No, we leave it like that till the end of the year.
It looks
You
good.
confused me. Can't you put the completed ones down here
It
and the
looks
online
good.
ones up here?
No,
What do you mean?
because I like confusing the mayor.
I think that's just your job description.
Chris tells me to.
I know. Pick on me all the time. Everywhere I go.
I'm not here Friday, so I have to do it now.
Oh, okay. So counselors' calendars. I have my report on my desk. Chris?
Thank you, Worship. Maybe just for the benefit of the new folks, this is the section of the agenda where we can go around the table and any meetings that you have scheduled for various reasons, especially if we need to do travel arrangements or anything like that for you, to mention them. We then put them on this calendar, and then that creates a transparent record for the community also to show where you're going, what you're doing. Where are we gonna be?
I guess I get to start. Okay, I went to the Chamber of Commerce meeting yesterday, and they had a presentation, which I had a hard time trying to find where it's.
No, we're doing,
Oh,
just what we're going right
Okay.
now. November 2018, what meetings we have. 'Cause
Okay.
I like Sandy to know what's going on. She's our person to book, so she knows, we know what's going on. Or she knows where you guys are at all times. I don't want you guys just out going and booking and we don't have a clue that you're there, right? Okay. So like Sunday, it's daylight savings right here. Tuesday, Counselor Smith at tourism training.
I had to bow out of the tourism training yesterday and today. I had a medical issue, so I couldn't go.
And the mayor didn't go to the Chamber of Commerce because she was sick.
the white did.
Yeah, Donna White did. On the 7th, council is
What about your
today.
fire hall?
Hmm?
We went to the fire hall.
That's in our report. PRD board meeting I had today, orientation, that was so nice of those guys. They actually did an orientation. The last time I went to council, or the regional district meeting, I never had any orientation. They put me in Chris's office, grabbed the Bible, brought me out in front of everybody and swore me in, and threw me in the seat and said, have at it. So then, this time I actually got to sit there and actually get the orientation read and
I know, I had that happen to me too.
it was awesome, just, and I thanked all the staff and everything, I was like, wow.
And Joe couldn't go that one, for the first one, so I ended up having to go.
Yeah. It's amazing.
I know.
And then I have PRD tomorrow in Fort St. John. And then at 6:30 tomorrow night with Director Hebert will be joining us for the Encana thing. And then I have the Dawson Creek City Showcase Tour for the new Ronald McDonald House. Southeast Health Council has bought, no, it's called Dr. Boltry's office used to be. You guys familiar with that? It's right behind the hospital. It's kind of L-shaped. It used to be a gynecologist, right? So the Southeast Health Council wants to purchase that and then turn it into a Ronald McDonald House because there's people from Fort Nelson that can't have babies. So they have to come down here because they don't want to go to Fort St. John. It costs too much money for a hotel room. So we're setting this up for cancer treatments, anything that they need.
Who's gonna
And-
fund it?
Huh?
Who's funding it?
We will be funding it, regional district is funding it, I'm not sure how much, I think 75,000, don't quote me on that, is what regional district gave them, the directors, like Dan and Leonard. But, none of the board has gave any money yet, right?
Okay, yeah, because I'd have to come to
Has to go to you guys before you decide, right?
it. And they're gonna keep it at a minimal cost.
Yeah, that's what they're kind of mirroring it like the quarter band in Prince George. They want to do it like that, right? So, but they have to have engineers and stuff, they have some renovations and stuff need to be done on it before they can go ahead. On the 11th, I will be doing a speech. The 12th, the office is closed. Again, there's an Encana information session on the 13th. That's about it. Oh, we have the old-fashioned Santa Claus on the 23rd.
You do?
And Canada-Poos Legion on the 27th, and the mayor's goes to the EC Hydro. So now, do you have anything?
I have a question for Chris. We voted for the Encana Center in Dawson Creek to pay a portion of that.
Paid to the regional district.
What's that?
It's paid to the regional district.
Yeah, but the village pays. Can you tell us how much longer we have on that?
I can look into it.
Thank you.
You'll have an operational budget that
I'd like to know how much longer.
Using tax.
you'll be paying into it as long as it's built. You're gonna pay for an operational budget now.
But that wasn't the agreement.
That,
No, but we will be.
but that wasn't in the agreement. We paid for the building and we paid,
We
I
paid
think,
for-
for 20 years.
Yeah.
But
It's been posted.
And then- for the operations,
No. we
it
didn't
has
pay
to
for
come
that.
to the village. Chris?
Thank you. I know there's no direct cost flowing through our general ledger accounts or anything like that, so if the regional district is billing the residents for that, it's built into the regional district requisition rate somewhere, so I'll have to ask the CFO over there to try and track that down.
It's supposed to be in everybody's tax, including everybody's.
Yeah, so that'd be where they're building it in, it's somehow embedded in their
Same with our water.
requisition rate.
But if they are, our residents should know that.
Yes.
Okay.
It's very astute. Well done.
That was one heck of a referendum, I'll tell you.
Yeah.
Oh, that was so blown out of proportion.
So anybody have anything for December?
I'm not here for it.
So that means it's you and me, Marlene, that are gonna go around and do that.
Yep. You ready?
You ready, Freddie?
Let's go.
Okay. Reports. Councilor report.
Okay, I attended the Chamber of Commerce meeting in Dawson Creek once I finally found out what room I was supposed to be in. The presentation was very, very fast. It was like,
Who was
whoa.
the presentation?
The CAP, Canadian Association. So it was mostly a lot of graphs and stuff like that. So I got the website that we can go on to look at what she presented. So that maybe I can sit down and look at it. Because they had the graphs in there for up to 2040. Yeah. So
With all
it's
the
on,
different oil companies.
yeah, and where it's all coming from, like India and China is the most, so it's www.cap2ps.ca.
You have the card.
Yeah, I'm actually a group member of those guys on Facebook.
Yeah. She was very informative, but it was just really technical. And there was somebody behind us that just kept talking and you couldn't hear her.
I just turn around and tell them, go, shh. I'm rude though.
But it was in with the Rotary meeting as well, right? So it was 2 meetings in one.
Huh.
That's it, that's all I've done so far.
Okay, Councilor Bieber?
Oh, I haven't done anything, I'm here.
I wanted to hear that.
Councilor Smith, we went to the fire hall last Monday. Yeah, come Barb, quick, we're gonna get some money. Anyway, it was good. It was good, it was informative. What else? I don't think I meant anything else.
Mr. Dorfer?
Hi.
I went to the fire hall as well.
Yeah.
October 31st.
Oh, Halloween.
For Halloween.
I was scared. It was a really good hunt.
They always outdo themselves.
It was really awesome. I was so shocked that it was such a wonderful presentation put on at the fire department. It blew my socks off. It was wonderful.
The library.
and scary.
The library had quite a bit.
We
of
have
stuff, and
such
they did all their
a
stuff,
wonderful
And they
fire
donated
department.
it to the.
That they are so involved, like Halloween, wine for books,
Anything that we have.
anything, they really just pull all the stops, they're awesome.
And the volunteers. That's our only bunch of volunteers that we actually do.
July 1st, we couldn't do July 1st without the fire department.
Okay, you done, Ken?
Yes.
Okay. Now, for me to remember, because I left my report on my desk, I went to the fire hall, because I thought we were getting money, from Alliance Pipeline. And then I've been in Fort St. John with Regional District over that landslide, which is crazy. Nobody in the province has anybody in the EOC room. So it's just the Regional District is managing it and doing it. We can't send out, or we can't ask for anything to be expensed out unless we invoice them first. So one of the directors has already spent $150,000 out of his budget for his taxpayers. And he doesn't think that they're gonna cover it.
They're supposed to,
Yeah, well, he's a little choked today.
according to the regulations.
They changed the regulations in 2007.
I was still involved in 2000.
So, and I went to council meeting, or regional district meeting today, and voila, here I am. So that's it for me. In-camera meeting, as per section 90 of community charter, none. Rise and report, none. Motion to,
Motion to adjourn.
I'll second.
all in favor?